Welcome to the final video in Beginner Golf Week. We've already given you 5 tips, we've given you some fantastic drills, and in this particular video we're going to be looking at 5 pieces of advice that you need to ignore if you want to be better at golf. There's a very good chance that you're going to have friends or family who are trying to help you on your golfing journey, and unfortunately very often the advice they give is incorrect and it could be holding you back. We're going to address those pieces of advice and give you what you need to do to develop. Once again, back at the Forest of Arden, and welcome to you if you are that new or beginner golfer. We've already released 2 videos this week looking at some drills and some tips that can really help you. So I hope you've already seen those videos. If you haven't, I will link them in the corner here, but I will also link them in the description box down below. Might be a good idea to go watch those ones first, because I think they can really help you. So in this particular video, we are going to be looking at some of the advice that is no doubt going to get given to you over the coming weeks and months if you're new to this game. It very often comes with all the best intentions from friends and family, but it can very often be holding you back. We're going to explain why and cover those pieces of advice that you need to kind of just ignore. So piece of advice number 1, and this is been around for so long and it is by far the worst piece of advice you can have, is to keep your head still. Guarantee that if you're new to the game, someone at some point will say this to you. Now, if I take my starting position and I try and keep my head still, what it's going to do is it's going to do a couple of things. It's going to limit how much I can rotate my body, which means I'm not going to be able to make a full golf swing. And that is the case on both sides of the golf ball. It's going to limit my rotation this way, and it's going to limit my rotation this way as well. And if I limit my rotation, I generally don't get particularly good arm structure. Arm structure being the kind of how the arms are positioned. So keeping the head still is a great way to start to get these arms in this terrible cramped position that we would see on the way through. What we will tend to see from the best golfers in the world is as they make a golf swing, when they rotate back, the head, whilst it may be looking at the golf ball to begin with, will have some amount of head rotation. So you'll notice that my head has rotated off the golf ball. That helps me make this full turn, and it helps me get the golf club into a nice position at the top. On the way through, as soon as I struck the golf ball, I really want to let my head rotate and release, because again, what that does, it allows me to keep my arms nice and extended and helps with my contact. The other thing it does, it allows me to get taller, because you'll notice that my head is now in a very different position to what it was at the setup. It's facing the target, it's much higher, and I've rotated. So keeping the head still does no good for any golfer. It's not going to help you strike the ball better. It's not going to help you see the golf ball on the club face better. It's only going to bring bad things to your golf swing. So if I hit this 6-iron, you should see a little bit of head rotation in the backswing, and then you should definitely see some head movement as I strike the golf ball and go into my finished position. That head has definitely moved in that golf swing, and it needs to move if you're to hit good quality golf shots. So piece of advice number 1 that you need to ignore is keep your head still. The second thing that you need to ignore, if anyone gives this bit of information, is to focus on keeping your lead arm straight in the backswing. If you watch any golfers on TV, men's tour, ladies tour, you will see lots of golfers where yes, that lead arm stays very straight. Unfortunately, what we have to accept is that many of us playing this game, and many of you, if you're a newer golfer, we don't quite have the flexibility of these world beaters. So we're not going to have the same golf swings. And for many of you out there, keeping that lead arm straight is not going to help you. Absolutely, I wouldn't want that lead arm to break down like this. But having a golf swing where there's a little bit of bend in that lead arm is actually really good for lots of golfers. And I would spend, a fair bit of my time coaching actually allowing golfers to bend that lead arm. It often allows you to get into a fuller position at the top. It allows you to get a much more functional or useful top of the backswing position, and it actually relieves a little bit of tension. There's too many golfers out there who are absolutely bogged down with trying to keep that lead arm straight, and they're creating this very stiff backswing with lots of tension through the arms. And again, similar to what we said with point number 1, it does no good. Yes, we don't want it to bend excessively, but a little bit of bend in that lead arm is actually present in many of the world's best golfers. So allowing that lead arm to bend a little bit is absolutely fine. Keeping it straight is going to do you more harm than good. So this third piece of advice is to do with your intentions as you hit the golf ball. And you might hear some people say to you, to hit the ball straight, you need to swing the club head straight down towards the target, which may be the fairway, it may be the flag or the green in the distance. And this again is really, really going to hold you back from playing some good golf. Let's tell you what should happen. I'm going to place 2 lines on the ground which are parallel to my target line, which is in the middle of this fairway, but they're kind of in line with my toes. You can see those there. So what we'd actually find is when we make a perfect golf swing, if there is such a thing, is the golf club head is considerably inside of the target line, but it's parallel to that target line. The club head would then reach the golf ball, make contact, and the club head would then start to arc back inside. So again, it's parallel to that target line. So my club head is on my target line for a very, very small period of time. What we wouldn't want to do is ever try and get that golf club to run straight down towards that target, because it's really going to do some poor things in your body. A great little exercise is just to take your starting position, hover the golf club above the ball, and just use your body and just rotate towards the target. Now what you'll notice is the club head will start to arc very quickly back inside. So if I'm trying to swing the golf club straight down towards the target, I'm not going to really rotate my body, because rotating my body moves the club around to my left. So the golfer who's trying to swing the club straight down towards the target is very often really stopping what they're doing with their body, and they're getting this kind of look to their golf swing where they're desperately trying to keep the club head going straight towards the target. It's really, really poor for body rotation. Now, on paper, it makes a lot of sense. If we want to hit the ball straight, we swing the golf club towards the target. But the reality is, it's not the case. If I do a little chip here, just notice where my club head finishes when I hit this little shot. Notice how the club head has gone very much round to the left, yet the golf ball went very straight. The club went round to the left because I used my body rotation correctly. That's exactly what should happen. And that's actually a really good drill for you to do if you're a little bit unsure about how the golf club should trace down and through the golf ball. If you want to be more consistent, you need to keep your legs still. Terrible, terrible advice. Again, this gets thrown around by golfers trying to help beginners. Keep your legs still. It's going to make it more consistent. It's going to make it easier to hit the golf ball. It won't. Let me hit this golf shot for you with a 6-iron, and we'll just take a look at exactly what my leg action does. There is a lot of movement in those legs, but that movement is correct, it's good, and it's needed. So as I make a backswing, my hips are going to rotate, my knees are going to change their flex. Notice how this leg is a little straighter, this leg is now a little bit more bent. As I transition towards my downswing, I'm going to move my legs towards the target, and I'm going to rotate them through so they end up in this position where the trail leg is up onto the toe and all the weight's on the lead leg. There is lots of rotation through the lower body. This is very similar to what we said with point number 1, we said keep the head still. If you don't move the legs and you try and lock them in place, you really limit the body's ability to pivot correctly, and we start to get the arms doing things that we don't want them to through the impact. So ignore the advice of keep your legs still, allow them to move, just make sure it's in a functional manner, and that's really going to help you with your golf swing. And the last piece of advice that you need to avoid if you're a new or beginner golfer is if anyone ever says to you in the early stages, don't get custom fitted for golf clubs because you're not yet good enough. Terrible, terrible advice. If you're really serious about getting better at this game, going to see an expert who knows about golf clubs, who can get the right golf clubs in your hands, can really help your development. If you're a taller person or a shorter person, or you've got larger or smaller hands, you may well need some golf clubs which are different to what you're going to get off the shelf. You may need the grips to be a different size. You may need the club lengths to be different. You may need the angle between the bottom of the golf club and the club shaft to be slightly adjusted. These are all normal things to have changed on golf clubs, but they need to be specific to you. If you've got the wrong golf clubs, you're going to be fitting your golf swing around those clubs. You're going to develop faults and compensations for those golf clubs, and it's really going to hinder you later on in your golfing career, if you like. So if you're serious about golf, get yourself some measured golf clubs. I appreciate they're a little bit more cost and they can be a little bit more difficult to get hold of, but find a good local professional who can do this for you. Get yourself some custom fitted clubs. It is going to help you in the long run. So 5 pieces of advice that I hear all too often from people trying to help those new or beginner golfers, which actually just holds them back from reaching their potential. So I really hope this little mini video series of 3 videos has given you some value, some things that you can do in practice, and it's going to help you on your golfing journey, because this is a fantastic game, and if you can get to a level where you can really enjoy the game, it is absolutely fantastic. There is no better game in the world, in my opinion. So some drills, some tips, and some advice that you need to ignore, and I think you're going to leave you in a good place there to start to develop your golf game and ultimately play this game to a pretty high level. Thank you very much for watching. Really appreciate your views and I really appreciate your comments. If you've got any, leave them down below. Give this video a thumbs up, and as we said before, just give this video a share if you feel that there's someone out there who could benefit from this information. And as we've got you started on your golfing journey, I hope to see you again on some future videos.